Okay. Okay, so a couple different things here. Number one, use your ribbon in Civil 3D. Okay, this is designed to be your most efficient way of editing Civil 3D objects. So what happens is, if you're not familiar with this, when you select a Civil 3D object, in this case I selected a tin surface, you'll see that the ribbon changes, shows you a context-sensitive ribbon tab specific to that object type. Okay. Rather than going in the long way, modify tab, surface, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so pick the object, use the context-sensitive ribbon tab. These pull-down menus, some of you are addicted to those. This is the old way of running AutoCAD before we even had a ribbon. If you'll wean yourself off of those, I think you'll find that using the ribbon, context-sensitive ribbon, will help you. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on using keyboard input, but just know that anything you do in Civil 3D, AutoCAD, you can use keyboard input to invoke your commands. And if you do that, you start typing, AutoCAD has previews of all the various commands. So I encourage you to use this. Okay, here's one that a lot of people aren't doing. Customize your quick properties dialog. So I would think that everybody here is familiar with the properties dialog, right? But quick properties, what this is, if I have that turned on, you see this little small dialog that shows up when I select an object? What I'm allowed to do is I can customize what properties are available on that particular object type. In this case, a Civil 3D assembly. What properties do I want to see and be able to edit? Notice here it says assembly. So I could go in and say, oh, I want to have the code set style show up there, and I can change it if I want. So now if I select an assembly, I get quick properties, and I can now set the code set style. Autodesk recommends the tool space be closed. This is your tool space. If you're if you're using Prospector a lot, but you're not going into settings, survey, and toolbox, you can turn off individual tabs here. Okay, the way you do that is you go up here on the home tab of the ribbon, right next to tool space. These are those various tabs. There's Prospector, here's settings. I could turn that off if I want. Here's toolbox, and here's survey. So now I have tool space with just the Prospector, and we're expected to get a little bit better performance out of that. Another thing that Autodesk recommends anyway is turning off these automatic rebuilds. Okay, so when your items go out of date, they need updating, manually go in and right click and say build. Particularly as you have larger and larger, more complex corridors, for example, those can take some time to rebuild. Surface models, if you can display your surface models without contours or with very sparse contours, that's going to speed things up. Now, that said, I do want to tell you that you can speed your work up a great deal just by installing and using Civil 3D 2025. Not only has Autodesk done strides with multi-threading and multi-processing in AutoCAD, but for Civil 3D, they've also particularly paid attention to speeding up the redisplay of surfaces that have contours. So now, you know, you've seen it, that bar that goes across displaying contours, displaying contours. These things happen very, very quickly now. Okay. Corridor surfaces, their Autodesk numbers say they're about 3 to 4 times faster to create corridor surfaces, just displaying regular surface. The other thing is with surfaces now, you can turn on and off your level of detail per surface. So I can set this to reduced level of detail, so I'll see fewer of the contours. Well, that was probably an Xref. Okay, so that's a nice feature, I think. If I had multiple surfaces in here and I want to reduce the level of detail on this, I could reduce it just on that. I don't have to do the entire drawing like I had to in previous versions. All right. Okay, let's get you some quick properties, a couple things that you might do with quick properties. So if I go here to a surface model, I might want to have minimum and maximum elevation shown. So now if I pick a surface, those data are right there and available. Or this is, you know, because you guys are all in engineering surveying, let's pretend we have a polyline. I'm going to close it. Okay, first off, something I always want to see about a polyline is its area. So polyline, I want area. This is a big deal to me, is elevation. I'm going to turn off global width because I generally just use 0. Elevation I want on because polylines can represent contours, right? And then area and length. So now if I pick a polyline, I could set its elevation. Oh, that's at 102. And it's real quick and easy. Now, this is different than if you did a 3D polyline. A 3D polyline, you can then step through the vertices and change the elevations on individual vertices. Okay, I want to talk about some Xref settings. This index control and X load control, these go together. What index control does is you open up the drawings that are Xrefs or are going to become Xrefs, and you set index control hopefully to 3. And what that does is that writes on top of the drawing file, it writes kind of an internal indexing of all the objects and the layers they're on, as well as all the objects and where they are geometrically or geographically located. So now when you have a destination drawing into which you've Xref'd an indexed file, the next time you load it, it loads much faster because it doesn't load the objects that are on frozen Xref layers and that are outside your Xref clip boundaries. Okay, so these are settings that can really speed up use of Xrefs. I'm not going to spend a lot of time here on using data references. This is Civil 3D data shortcut, so that instead of, you know, having, for example, your original ground surface actually physically in all the various drawings, what you do is you build it in one drawing, you save it and share it through your project structure, and then use data references to reference it. Talk about turning off automatic rebuilds. Stay as far away from importing lots of Kogo points as you can. That's one of the things I want to talk to you about and show you how to get around that. And then, of course, you can use styles to turn off the display of any Civil 3D object that doesn't need display at the time. Okay, so let's go do some Civil 3D here. I can move this out of our way. So here I have a drawing file. I've already got a surface in. I'm going to get rid of that surface. Don't need that polyline. So what I did is I drew a polyline in here, just regular AutoCAD polyline. And what I have, though, is I have a ton of data. What is this? 15 different files that are, some of these might be 80 or 100,000 points per file. So I'm probably looking at, several million points here. But they cover an area much greater than my area of interest that I've selected there with that polygon. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a surface, and then I add this as what's called a data clip boundary. That's how Civil 3D and the surface modeler can ignore any of these millions of points that are going to fall outside of my area of focus here. So I'll create a surface. I don't care what it's called. Surface 1 is fine, right? Okay. So the first thing you want to have in that surface is this data clip boundary. Boundary add, not an outer like we're used to using, but a data clip. Now this comes in handy later as well, because if you maybe you added a break line outside the boundary inadvertently, well, it'll ignore it if you have a data clip boundary. I don't care what I call it. And pick the object. Okay, so now nothing really has happened, but that data clip boundary is now at the top of my order of operation. So now here's the big one that a lot of people don't realize when they start dealing with these large point files, is they think, well, I'm going to import those points, make myself 1,000,000 Kogo points, and then attach a point group to my surface. That doesn't work very well. The best thing is go here, add a point file. So now you don't jam your drawing full of all these data, you just connect to it. So my format is ENZ, easting northern elevation, space delimited. And I can pick all these files at once. Okay, so I don't have to go one at a time 15 times. Now it's evaluating them. Here in a moment, it'll tell me, okay, they all match my file format. Okay, so that looks all good. I'll say okay. It's finding duplicate points, I think, duplicate locations possibly. Okay, and then we have this surface. Now, if I look at my file size, it's going to be this one. Right now it says 49 megs. Let me save. Okay, 47 megabytes. Fairly sizable, really big surface, right? Well, watch what happens if I want to open that. in 2025 here. I'll just open it this way by dropping it on the deal. And, oh, that was 2 or 3 seconds. And that large file with a large surface, lots of contours, is all loaded up, ready to use. So there's one of your big advantages in 2025. Another tool that can help you with dealing with these very large surfaces is this one here, Simplify Surface. This will reduce the number of points. Let me take a look at surface properties, statistics. How many points? 778,000. Say I want to get that down to what I consider a reasonable number. I go in here, Simplify Surface. I'm going to do point removal. Okay, existing border's good. And I want to remove 90% of the points. Okay, so now if I look at my surface stats, it tells you here, now it's down to 681,099. So it didn't get rid of 90% because of the difference in elevation setting. If you go simplify, I make that larger, it can get rid of more points. Okay. So simplify surfaces. Okay, I want to show you these corridor transitions for any of those of you that deal with any kind of, corridor design, and then you have to have driveways in and out and all that. This can really speed up that work. I'm going to go pick this one. I've been playing around with it, as you can tell. There. Okay, so here what I did is I took this curb, excuse me, and I made it real tall, so that way when we view it in 3D, it'll be easier to see when it drops, because I'm going to take this tall curve that's like 4 feet, and I'm going to drop it down to a couple inches. Okay, so we're going to do that with corridor transitions. Pick my corridor, go here to edit corridor transitions. Now, first thing I want to do is kill everything that's here now. Okay, so the way you do this, I'm going to be doing a transitioning within a certain subassembly that's being used in the corridor. So I'm going to go here, new transition set, and then you watch your command line. I need to move this out of my way. It's good to have multiple monitors. Too bad you guys can't see them both, huh? Okay, so select a subassembly, which means I can come in here, and on this right-hand side, I want to be able to adjust urban, curb, and gutter general. And you can see how it tells you the name of the subassembly that it's finding there. So I'll click there. Okay, which dimension do I want? This is where your help comes in handy for these subassemblies. D is the curb height, so I'll just say dimension D. Okay, start station of the transition. Well, at this point, I'm really just setting things up. So I'm going to start at 1 plus 100 and parameter. Okay, so at that location, I want to be the full height of 6 inches. And that's in inches, so 6, okay. end of the transition. So I want to across, actually I didn't want to be 6 inches. I wanted to be 48. I'm going to redo it. Sorry. Because I want you guys to see the big difference here. That D. Okay. Start at 100. We're going to be 48 inches at the start. Okay, we're going to transition from there. I want to go, say, 20 feet. So I'll go to 2 plus 20, and I'll be at 48. So I'm doing flat to here. And linear, yes. Okay, end station for the next transition. That's going to be, I went to 2 plus 20. Now I want to transition down to, say, 2 inches high over, what do you want? You want it to be kind of sloped or almost vertical, you know? Let's say we're going to go I'm at 1 plus 20, so I'm going to go to 1 plus 30. So 10 feet and okay, so there's that. I did that first, this should have been 1 plus 20 as my end station, ending at 48. Then I start at 220, and I want to go to I want to start at 1 plus 20, and I want to end at 1 plus 30. And by there now, I'm going to be down, say, to 2 inches, right? And then I'll go along flat. Oops. Insert below. Okay. So from 1 plus 30, yep, I want to be at 2 inches. And I want to, how wide's a driveway? 30 feet, maybe. That's a wide one. So we'll go to 1 plus 60 and stay at 2 inches. Insert another one below. Okay, starting at 160, I'm at 2 inches. I want to go 10 feet, 170, and get back up to my 48 inches. And then maybe I'll put in a 20-foot flat just for fun. 1 plus 70 to 1 plus 90. Let's go all the way to 200. We'll fill a whole 100 feet here. And that should end at 48. Okay. Now what you do is you apply that. And then if you look, let me move this out of the way again. Object viewer. And you can see how I've transitioned that. What really, I mean, I'm using a subassembly where that's the curb, but you know, I exaggerated it so we'd be able to see it. And so what you can do after doing all that, oops, I need to get out of that, is what you do is you lock this set of transitions. And now if I wanted to move it to 2 plus 00, watch all the stations below update. Okay, so this becomes a set, and I can export the parameters of this set and then import them into other projects. Okay, so I don't always have to go through and do these transitions like this. So I will entertain questions. I don't have anything else in particular to tell you other than thank you for attending.
Thank you so much, Tim, for that wonderful presentation. We do have one question. Let me go over that. And again, you can ask a question on the left-hand side. Okay, it says, should I set index control in every drawing or only in those that become Xrefs?
Yes, that's a good question. You want to set index control in the drawings that are going to become Xrefs. It does no good for you to do that, like for example, in a sheet drawing where your production drawings have been Xref'd in. You don't need to set it there, just in the production drawings themselves. Yeah.
Got it. Thank you. And just as a reminder for everyone, if you want to learn any of these topics in detail, you can always take a custom training with Tim. And we also offer group classes online. We have in our upcoming webinars on August 29th, AC Collection Top Tips and Tricks for Maximizing Productivity. So yeah, I think you have there the registration box, so you can go ahead and check what we have available in the future for our events. So yeah, I would like to thank Tim for this presentation and thank you everyone for attending. Oh, let me just read one question that we just got before we say goodbye. Do the sub assemblies need to have special parameters to do the transitions?
Well, no, it'll actually, I know what you're saying. Do you have to have special parameters within your sub-assemblies to allow transitioning? The answer to that is no. It will let you transition really any parameter within your subassembly properties here. So if I pick a subassembly, here's its parameters. I could take any one of these, the gutter slope, the sub-base depth, etc., and transition any or multiple.
And another question is, can you please go over the other Xref variable setting related to demand load Xrefs with copy?
Yeah, X load control is the AutoCAD setting. And what that, well, let me show you in options. AutoCAD options, I just type OP to get there. Okay. Here on the Open and Save tab on the right-hand column, you'll find demand load of Xrefs. The recommended setting is enabled with copy. What that does is that makes it so that you can still demand load your Xrefs while other people are editing those drawings. Okay? So that's your preferred setting. And then you were asking about also the index control system variable. Index control of 1 creates a layer index, 2 creates a spatial index, and 3 creates both. Now, I will tell you that when you use index control, your drawing file sizes will grow some. It's because AutoCAD is adding more data into that drawing, the indexes, okay? But this is, I guess for programmers, that's how you get to data most quickly is through indexing.
Thank you, Tim. She says thank you.
You're welcome.
And we're also being asked, where will this recording be saved? for review in the future? And the answer is you will be sent the on-demand record of this webinar tomorrow, I believe at 1 p.m. as well. And we will also be having this webinar upload to our YouTube channel. So you will get it in your email, and then you can also find it on our YouTube channel to answer that question. Okay, any more questions before we go? Okay, so thank you so much, Tim, again.
My pleasure.
And thank you, everyone.
And everyone, thank you.
Yeah, this was very helpful. Thank you so much. Again, please be sure to be checking the Microcap website events. And if you cannot make it, just register so you can get the on-demand recording. Okay, so thank you, everyone, and have a great day. Thank you, Tim.
Thank you very much.
Goodbye.
Okay, Huli, thanks. I think that went okay.
Bye-bye.